Kelly with Pins and Needles Kits, and I want to show you what we're going to be making with our September kit. So this is the Colorwheel Pincushion. Looks like a miniature tuffet. It's super cute. Has little buttons for feet on the bottom. And the kit comes with everything you need to make this precious little pincushion. So let's get started. So let's open up September's box and see what's inside. We're going to pull back this cute polka dotted tissue, and we are going to be making the Colorwheel Pincushion. Little mini tuffet, so cute. I think you're going to love it. The kit comes with it's just packed with things this time. So we're going to have the walnut shells that you need to stuff the pincushion, some cording. There's some felt for the bottom of the pincushion. You have your nice little foam cushion, and there is the bottom of the tuffet, instructions, and you'll have some screws in here that you won't need if you do it like I'm going to do. This is if you were going to use knobs, cabinet knobs for the bottom of it, but we went button shopping and went to a great little shop and found vintage buttons for our pincushion. So you have one button that's for the top of the pincushion, and then you have 4 that you'll glue onto the bottom for your little legs. I think those are really cute, and everybody will have something different. So we'll have to post pictures of our button shopping. It was a lot of fun. And then we're using oh, let's see what else is in here. You're going to get some muslin and of course your presentia thread. We found these great pens for you. They're from Dritz, and they are glow in the dark. How fun is that? So if you drop some on the floor and you're walking around at night and you see one on the floor, you won't step on it and poke yourself. Also, you're going to get some needles. And last but not least, we have our fabric. This is Sundrops by Corey Yoder by Moda. And so what we did was you need 13 of these for your project. So we gave you 20 so that you could kind of pick which ones you like the best, okay? So we have a nice assortment of all the colors, and these are 6 inches long. They're longer than what you need, and that way you'll have plenty of fabric to do what you want to do. So let me put this away and get started. So this is the instructions for the Colorwheel Pincushion, and on one side are the patterns. We're going to trace these pattern pieces onto computer paper. So I traced this one and this one. Make sure that you take all the markings and transfer them over. Then I added, I took the muslin and I traced 13 of these onto muslin with all the markings, the cross lines, everything. And then you will take the different colors of your fabric and lay it out and cut them to the same size as your pattern. So let me show you how that. Okay, so we traced the 2 circles onto the muslin. This is going to be the part that we're going to sew together and fill with the walnut shells. And so I'm just going to put that aside for right now. And then we traced off 13 of the pattern pieces, and then laid our fabrics out just to kind of get an idea of what we like. And so I have some extra ones here, but this is great because then you can kind of play and see what it is you like. Once you have it the way you like, then you can just lay them together and trim up your fabrics. And we sent you pre-cut 1.5 inch strips. It's Moda honey buns, and we do have the bigger honey buns for sale in the store, but this gives you a nice variety of what comes in it. So I have this laid out exactly like I want the pincushion to go together, so now I want to sew it together. Okay, so I've already sewn a few of them together, and you trim it to about 1/8 of an inch after you sew them together, and then you press it. So I'm going to take these 2, put them right sides together, and I'll put a little pin in here. Let me grab one real quick, sorry. Just so I can kind of keep them together. Alright, so we put this under. We're going to follow our line that we traced for our seam allowance, do a couple of back stitches, and then what we want to do is as we come up here, we don't want to make a sharp turn. We want to actually just kind of curve around that edge there. We'll pull out our pin before we get to it. stitch at the end, pull it out, and then we're going to clip into our curve a little bit, and then we're going to trim off to about 1/8 of an inch or so, approximately. It doesn't have to be perfect. Alright. Then we're going to open this up, and we'll take it over to the iron and press it. And you see how our pincushion is coming together? Just curving around nicely. Alright, so you continue doing that all the way around until you finish the whole round. Okay, so we have all 13 of these sewn together, and the last seam is sewing the first one and the last one together. So I'm going to open or close, turn this right sides together, and line up my seams, put it underneath the foot, and start sewing. Get that last seam in there. So the muslin behind the fabric really gives it a lot of support, so it feels nice and stiff. So when you start sticking your pins and things in it, I think it's going to hold up really nicely. Trim off the edges there, and turn it right side out. And we now have the makings of our pincushion. Isn't that great? Okay. Okay, you will have a little opening up here in the top. That's okay. Now you have this line around the bottom. It's about 1 inch from the bottom. You're going to thread up a double strand of thread on a hand sewing needle, and you're just going to baste around this edge, and this is how we're going to gather this onto our pincushion in just a little bit. So you're going to leave about a 3-inch tail, and then just keep sewing around it, taking fairly large stitches. And just keep doing that all the way around until you come out the other end, the other side, and you'll leave a 3-inch tail on that side as well. Okay, so I'm back to the beginning. I'm going to pull my needle through. Maybe. Come on, needle. Alright, so I have 2 tails right here, and I'm just going to put this aside for now, and I need to complete the little pouch that goes inside that the walnuts get put in. So I'm going to sew around this, 1/4 of an inch seam allowance, and I'll leave about 1 inch or so open so that I can fill it with the walnuts. The back stitch at the beginning. If you don't get an exact seam allowance, don't worry about it. This is pretty forgiving right here. So I left an opening here so that I can turn it. So I'm going to go to the opposite side, kind of pull it apart. If you have fingernails, it makes it a little bit easier. And then you'll start pushing this towards the opening. If you have a purple thing, or a stiletto, or whatever it is that you want to use, a bamboo skewer, you can push it through with that. Alright. And then we'll just make sure we get all the wrinkles out of it. Get it all turned, and I'll probably just give it a quick press once I get finished, as you'll find out I'm kind of insane about pressing. Okay, so now I want to put the walnut shells inside of the little pouch, and I have found this little funnel that came with one of my irons, so I'm going to slide this in here. Just makes it a little bit easier. If you have a funnel in your kitchen, you can use something like that. Open up the walnut shells. And crushed walnut shells are great for all types of projects like this, and you just pour it in, and it takes a minute to get it all go through, and so you just keep pouring to get all of this in here. Then we're going to close up the edge, and we're going to do a little hand sewing in the center. So I just actually sewed this shut on my sewing machine. It just is quick and easy, and nobody's really going to be seeing that. It's going to be inside. Then what you want to do is you want to take and sew with a hand sewing needle and some thread. You want to make a small X in the center, and that just kind of keeps the walnuts distributed nicely. So I just made a little knot there, and I'm just going to kind of do a running stitch, which is just up and down 2 or 3 times across, and then another one going the opposite way. Okay, so once we get to the end, we want to make sure that our thread tails are on the outside because we're going to be gathering this around the pincushion, and we need to be able to get to those threads easily. So your last thread should be hanging out on the right side of the pincushion. So next we're going to assemble our pincushion. So we have our cover inside out, we have the foam, the base, and the walnut shells. So in the instructions it tells you to put the bolts through the holes at this time. We won't be using the bolts because we're going to be gluing buttons on. So what you want to do next is you take the base, the foam, and the walnut pouch, and you stack them up. And then you take the cover and you center it, and you slowly start working it over the cushion. It's going to be so cute. Alright. See, it's really easy, guys. Alright, so it's coming together. Next you take, does that look great? Alright, so next you take your threads that you basted in, find my tails, there they are, and you start pulling on those, and that's why you want to make sure that you have at least a double strand so that you have something fairly strong to grab a hold of and it won't break. And you'll just keep pulling that. I don't know if you can see this or not. This takes a little bit of work. And you want to just keep working with it. Let's see, until you get it where you want it. Let's see what that looks like. Let's say maybe a little bit more. And then we're going to tie it in a knot. Maybe. Easier said than done, right? Okay. Let's look. Alright, so there's our pincushion. I think that looks pretty nice. And then in the instructions it tells you to trim all of this off, so we're going to trim our tails. And you can trim, if we were putting the legs on, the screws, we would want to trim all the fabric off so that you could get to where the screws are. I think I'm just going to leave this because we are going to be gluing the felt on here and then gluing the buttons on the felt, so it's not really important that we cut all of that off. The kit comes with cording to thread the button and go through the other end, but if you don't have really strong hands or you don't have a husband or somebody at home that can get those threads through the fabric, then we're going to do this a different way because I needed to do it myself, and I know a lot of you do too. So I have taken just the regular sewing thread that came with your project, and I have 4 strands here. So I put my thread through my button so that it looks like it's been sewn. I have all the threads threaded onto my tapestry needle, so technically I started out with 4 threads, but now I have 8 threads, so it's going to be nice and strong. Then I'm going to take this and I'm going to poke this through our little hole right in the center. And you're going to kind of feel around for the hole that's in the center of the base. And then we're going to grab our needle and pull. And you might need to use some pliers. I have some little ones here. Let's see what we have. Just to get a good grip. Yeah, that's much easier just to grab that with the pliers. And then you're going to take this and pull it through so it's really starting to look cute. Okay, so next we're going to take our threads and thread it through our random button that really probably doesn't match anything that's in the kit. So we'll thread this back onto our tapestry needle. So my threads are coming through the hole in the center of the tuffet, and then I've threaded them through 2 of the holes in the button, and I'm now going to tighten this down. And you know, just depends on how tight you want this to go. I think that looks pretty good right there. So I'm not pulling just super hard. And you want to tie it in a square knot. And I'm going to do it again just to be sure. And then you'll trim your tails, and before I trim my tails I want to make sure that everything looks good, and I think that looks fine. And then trim these down, oh, maybe like 1/2 inch or so. Then we're going to take some craft glue and we're going to put a little dot of glue, whoops, about more than a dot, on those threads to make sure that they stay together. So I'm going to trim just a little bit of this off, maybe about, I don't know, 1/4 to 1/2 of an inch, all the way around. And then I want to take and put a little bit of glue all the way around underneath where the fabric is. So once we have the glue underneath the fabric, we're going to just push that down, get the fabric secured to the plywood. Then we'll take and we'll put a little bead of glue. Oh, we'll cut a 4-inch, I forgot to tell you that. You cut a 4-inch circle out of the felt, and then we're going to put a little bit of glue on this. Then we'll lay this on the bottom of our tuffet. Okay. Then I'm going to put my buttons on, just kind of see where I want them to go. And most of the buttons that you're going to be getting, that people will be getting, will have one flat edge and then a rounded. So the flat edge is going to be glued to the bottom. So we'll just take and put a little bit of glue right here. And this glue does dry clear, so if you get a little bit of it on there, don't worry. It will dry and nobody will see it. So I have my buttons glued to the bottom. If you wanted to, at some point, if you didn't feel like this was going to be secure enough, which I think it's going to be fine, you could actually tack this felt down to the bottom. But what we're going to do now is we've glued everything on. We're going to let it sit overnight and let all the glue get nice and dry. And then when we're finished, turn it over. And it just turned out so cute. I just love this. And then we're going to take our glow-in-the-dark pens and pop them in our pincushion. So that's our project for September. I hope you enjoy making it as much as we enjoyed putting it together. Have a great day.